This is so important. Israel's genocide against the Palestinian people relies above all else on their dehumanisation, that we don't think of those who are being bombed and shot and starved and displaced and traumatised as fellow human beings like us, who love, feel pain, who have hopes, dreams, ambitions, fears, anxieties. Their deaths become numbers, statistics, rather than each one being a unique human imprint on the world, scrubbed away forever. And that's why I want to talk to you about a brilliant young Palestinian man in Gaza who I've been corresponding with. His name is Ahmed, and I'm asking you to support him. And I've included the link for his GoFundMe in the video description on YouTube, on Twitter in the description, and on my Instagram in the bio. The link's there. Now, this will help him pay for the living costs for him and his family in the impossible conditions of a Gaza which is being bombed and besieged by the Israeli army with the support and complicity and facilitation of our governments in the West, as well as helping them to get out when the border crossing with Egypt is reopened so that they can have safety from this unimaginable violence. I want to tell you about him. Please listen to this. He's 27 years old. His father was killed by the Israeli army in 2003 when he was just 6 years old. A reminder as ever that this did not all begin on the 7th of October, that the Palestinian people have suffered endless atrocities at the hands of their occupiers for so long. Before this onslaught, he had finished his studies at university, where he had a degree in media studies, driven by his passion for photography and art, which really does shine through on his Instagram content. He was hoping for a career in that kind of field. Now, those dreams were torn apart by Israel's murderous onslaught, and now he has just one goal: to keep his family safe. He's lost 21 of his relatives in this horror. And when I say lost, they have been killed by the Israeli state. Many of us would struggle to mourn if 2 of our loved ones were killed. But 21, where do you even begin? That itself is indicative of the sheer scale of what we rightly call a genocide. Now, he and his families have been displaced 6 times since last October. They now live in makeshift tents in Khan Yunis, lacking proper shelter to protect them from these hideous conditions. Last November, his niece, Tagreed, was born. Imagine looking after a newborn baby in these conditions, who has only known the horror of a genocidal war. And it's estimated that 20,000 babies have been born in the apocalyptic conditions of Gaza since last October. He tells me she has never known the comfort of a real home, and she has never had a single night of peaceful sleep. He tells me that the conditions he and his family are enduring are beyond difficult, that they lack even the most basic necessities. Food, he says, is extremely scarce. What little they find is often outrageously overpriced. They struggle daily to secure enough to eat, but even when they do, it's never enough. The quality is poor, forcing them to resort to primitive methods to survive, scraping by with whatever they can find. He goes on, as if the lack of food and shelter wasn't enough, we are now facing the spread of diseases. With no access to proper hygiene products or clean water, illnesses are becoming rampant in our camp. The unsanitary conditions make it nearly impossible to stay healthy, and we are constantly at risk of falling ill. This is particularly terrifying given the already dire circumstances. Let me carry on reading to you what he has said, what he's communicated to me. Every night the terror continues as planes fly low over our tents, adding to the immense stress and anxiety that we live with daily, especially for our children. The heat during the day is unbearable, and with winter fast approaching, we don't know how we will manage to survive the cold without proper shelter. We are desperately trying to raise awareness about the severe hardships we face in Gaza. The lack of food, the spread of diseases, and the constant fear of attacks have made our lives a daily struggle. We endure in the hope that the world will recognize our suffering and take action to provide the relief that we so desperately need. It is so important that we hear this hideous reality. It's not possible for any of us who have not lived such a hellish existence to fully comprehend what it's really like. We must try as hard as we can, though. You see, what Ahmed and his family are going through, what the surviving population of Gaza is going through, a surviving population, I'm sorry to say, which shrinks with every day, every passing day, in terms of those who are being slaughtered. What they're going through is made possible because of our governments and our media. Our governments arm those who have laid waste to Gaza, including destroying the homes and dreams of Ahmed and his family and so many others, as well as butchering and maiming tens upon tens upon tens of thousands of people. They have offered our governments diplomatic and political support and aid to the Israeli state as it perpetrates one of the worst crimes of our age, a genocide in plain sight. Our media, meanwhile, has repeatedly, shamelessly spread the lies of the Israeli state. It happens every day. It has whitewashed crimes and often failed to report on crimes at all, as well as erasing the responsibility, the culpability of the Israeli state. And crucially, it has dehumanized the Palestinian people. It has been my firm conviction throughout this that if we can make everyone see the humanity of the Palestinian people, their innate worth as human beings being no smaller than our own, then we can stop this crime. So I'm asking you to support Ahmed and his family by clicking on the GoFundMe link. And I should say, the amount of money it takes to get a single person out of Gaza is huge. That's why we have to raise so much money, as well as the astronomical living costs of living in this tiny besieged strip. And I'm also asking you to follow him on Instagram and share his stories. Let your friends, your followers see him, listen to him, know and understand what he's gone through. Let's make it encourage people to speak out, to use the power we all have when we come together collectively to demand this crime, this abomination, this genocide comes to an end. I promised Ahmed that I will support him and his family with my platform as best I can. But it is part of a much bigger commitment to stand by the Palestinian people to the very end, to win them justice and emancipation by standing alongside them, the right to determine their own future free of occupation and subjugation, and to bring to account all those who have made possible one of the worst crimes of our age. And finally, that's my thanks to you, Ahmed. I cannot imagine how hard things are for you and for your family and the survivors of Gaza. Every day I try, every day, but I still always know it's impossible to properly comprehend. But in these hideous, unimaginable, apocalyptic circumstances, your humanity, your resolve, your determination shine through. And you are doing more than you know to try and tell the world to stop this horror. You've done more than your bit. You've done your side of the bargain. And it is incumbent on those of us who are not suffering like you and your family to do all we can to spread the word, to act on our responsibility as citizens of countries facilitating this crime. So thank you to Ahmed. Thank you to those of you watching and listening for doing everything that you can. Please click on the GoFundMe link. Support as best you can Ahmed and his family. Follow Ahmed. Spread the word, spread the message, and above all else, do everything you can to stand against the genocide of the Palestinian people.